This year marks the 15th anniversary of the Penn State World Campus. Competition in the online education marketplace has grown tremendously in that time, and so has Penn State's ability to offer scholarship support to adult learners in the World Campus. In 2007, at the start of the For the Future campaign, the World Campus was able to offer scholarship support to only 4 students, totaling just under $11,000. This year, because of the significant generosity of several families, the World Campus was able to offer financial awards and scholarships to 241 students, totaling over $309,000. Adult students face very different challenges from traditional students and have fewer options for financial aid than their traditional counterparts. Here's a look at some of the adult learners who chose to study in the Penn State World Campus.
I became a cop, and I patrolled the streets for over 10 years. I always wanted to go back to school, just never knew what I wanted to do.
My husband and I currently live on Fort Belvoir in Virginia, and we're both active duty Army. There's umpteen million things going on in my life at all times, so going back to school meant that I would add another element to my life.
World Campus was the only way that I was going to be able to work and school at the same time. It was a family decision for me to set up home as my school.
I started taking my World Campus courses working full-time, so I got a feel right off the bat for what it is to work full-time and go to college full-time.
Being an online student, I had to motivate myself. You gotta adjust timetables to do that while maintaining that 70, 80, 90 hours a week that I was working between my 2 jobs.
In order to be active duty full-time soldier, the flexibility that an online degree provides was essential. I couldn't do it otherwise. So the online format really worked.
I wanted people to be comfortable in my care, and completing my bachelor's through World Campus kind of inspired me to further my education in nursing. I applied for a few scholarships, and I received notification back that I received the Tuno Family Nursing Scholarship, which just made me feel really good.
I think it's important to help anyone who you can help, who you have the ability to help. Penn State is a great vehicle for doing it, and it was instrumental in helping me achieve whatever I achieved. So it presents a very good vehicle for passing along the ability to succeed to someone else.
You have to make it happen. Nothing's impossible if you focus and put your time in.
Through the World Campus, I've connected with another student, and I was able to tutor her. I really enjoyed that whole process and thought maybe I should become a professor.
I talked to my lieutenant. My lieutenant said, in 2 years, you're going to be 2 years older. Or you could be 2 years older and you can have an associate's degree. The choice is yours. I train officers, and I even got a promotion out of it because I got my degree.
Penn State has opened a ton of doors for me, and I applied to a lot of graduate programs, and I got into all of them. It's thrilling, it's exciting.
Our final guest this evening was the recipient of the Logue Family Trustee Scholarship for Military Students in the World Campus. Todd Vanette served in Iraq with the U.S. Marine Corps. In 2012, Todd graduated from Penn State with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Energy and Sustainability Policy through the World Campus. Todd, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, sure, no problem.
You spent nearly 10 years in the U.S. Marines and left the service as a decorated disabled veteran. That's not something you focus much on, your injury. But tell us, if you would, a little bit about your story.
I enrolled, or I joined the Marine Corps in 2001 after 9/11, you know, a pretty patriotic symbol. And I'd spent some time in Iraq, and I became disabled in combat operations. And ultimately, after that had happened, I had to make a decision about what I wanted to do. And while evaluating my options, I sat down with my wife and we decided that going back to school was the best thing I could possibly do for myself. You know, I couldn't play in the dirt forever. And
we should say wife and 3 kids.
That's 4 kids.
Four
Four
now,
kids.
but at the time you had 3 kids.
That's right. That's correct.
So you had a full plate and not
Definitely.
much of a nest egg.
No, I mean, when you get disabled or when you get injured in combat, the problem is there's quite a lengthy process before, you know, any type of retirement or compensation comes. So when you go back to school, you have to really work at handling your expenses and to try to balance a budget with your family and go to school. So it's, you know, it's a pretty tough nut to crack. So ultimately, I ended up going to Penn State, and while student loans were great, I just came up a little bit short. And the Logue family awarded me a scholarship for my final 2 years, and was literally the difference between being able to finish or having to postpone my graduation. And without it, I wouldn't have been able to graduate. So that was a really meaningful thing for me, and it was really significant in my process.
Well, I want to say, first of all, you're the first member of your family to get a college degree. But before I go any further with that, I read in a blog that you created for your coursework in your online program. And you say that the Penn State World Campus really took a chance on you. Because when you were in your teens and when you were in your early 20s, you took college classes at community colleges, on and off. You sort of bounced around, and out of 80 credits, you actually earned 14.
Yeah, that's a true statistic. I ultimately, my results were underwhelming, to say the least. So I applied to Penn State, and ultimately I got rejected twice. So then I call the admissions office, you know, I'm pleading my case, and I talked to this sweet lady, and I still remember her name, Betty McKinley, in admissions. And I said, Betty, I'll do whatever it takes to go to school here. It means a lot to me, and you won't regret your decision. She says, well, Todd, we can't let you in the front door, but I'm going to let you in the side.
As a provisional student.
As a provisional student, and if you get 16 credits and you carry a certain GPA, we'll make you a permanent student, and it ultimately turned into becoming a permanent student.
And you were a Dean's List student.
I was a Dean's List student, so it was an incredible transformation. We make some real poor judgment decisions in our 20s. There's no question about it. And ultimately, I made better on it, because I never thought I would finish. Maybe the best thing that ever happened to me was getting injured, because without it, maybe I wouldn't have seen the light that I needed to do something a little different.
There's this misperception that an online education is inferior in some way to a traditional college degree, and that it doesn't lead to the jobs that a traditional college degree leads to. And your experience flies in the face of that.
Oh, no question. I mean, I don't think I'm an anomaly. I just think that there's a misconception out there. I mean, specifically, I had a job. I mean, my degree is in energy and sustainability policy. I literally had a job, a very significant job, that paid a great salary before I had my diploma in hand.
And now you're on your second job.
And now I'm on my second job with a significant salary increase, and both of which my education at Penn State was at the forefront of why I got the positions.
What I love about the 3 people I've talked to today is, I don't know if our associate producer knows this when he picked all of you, is that all 3 of you, your stories have come full circle, because your work with the Interstate Renewable Energy Council puts you in a position to evaluate energy courses that other college students are taking, to know, is this a valuable course? Is this going to lead to a job for someone down the road? Absolutely. I think it's unique that now all colleges and universities in New York that have a renewable energy or energy efficiency coursework, I'm actually sitting in on these courses and evaluating their content for, how well it translates into positions in the job sector. And it's pretty unique, and I think it's a neat experience to be able to be on the other side. So now the professors are nervous because of me, instead of me being nervous because of them. Well, what I also love is that you are very jazzed about what you're doing. I mean, this isn't a job; this is a career, and a family-sustaining career at that.
Oh, no question. I think it even goes beyond the career thing. I mean, a lot of times when you look at your career path, energy and sustainability policy, well, what does that really boil down to? Well, for me, I look at the 4 kids I have, and I'm like, well, geez, I have a responsibility to their generation to leave this planet in a better place than it was when I got here. And how do I do that? Well, the best way to do that is get involved with energy, which tends to be one of the drivers for a lot of pollution and you know, climate change and a lot of other things like that. So for me, being involved in an industry that has a chance to make a difference for the next generation really means something to me.
And it was a rigorous program. You did something in your course that I thought was wonderful, that really sort of meant a lot to you in terms of demonstrating your citizenship, and that is you wrote a letter to the EPA about one of their policies.
I did.
I
did.
And so as a result, you had to learn all about it, but also you're telling them this is what we expect of this public institution.
That's right. They never wrote me back. So it was good to make a public comment about what I thought, you know, on a particular policy, and you know, I had some guidance from the faculty at Penn State and from my academic advisor, and so it was a really unique experience. They guided me along, so I was, you know, helpful urging to them, but also careful in what I said, you know.
People, I think, wrongly assume that if you're a veteran that you get the financial aid you need through the GI Bill, and that really is not the case. Well, I mean, you get it, but it's often not enough for someone in a position like yours, a father with 3 children and a fourth on the way.
Yeah, well, you get the GI Bill. The problem is there's often a very long lag between compensation and between when you earn your entitlements. So it's you know. Just for instance, I had to add my newborn son to the VA, and it's a year plus on the waiting list. So so the timing was really an issue more than anything, and that's really where the scholarship came in and helped me out.
What I think of is the untapped potential that's out there. There are more Todd Vanetzes out there who could do as well as you did, and
sure.
Don't get the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. No, there's no question. I mean, there's limited resources, and there's limited information about the resources that are out there. So, I mean, awareness is a big thing, and support for the people that really need it.
You mentioned Betty McKinley, and I think the interesting thing about that is that people think that in online education you're isolated, it's not personal, and yet you are on a first-name basis with Brandy Robinson, who was the one who said you could apply for this scholarship.
That's right.
And Betty McKinley, who went to bat for you in the admissions office.
No question. Brandy Robinson's here tonight as my guest. So, yeah, I took so many courses that although they were online, they were filled with plenty of students that are here on campus because they didn't fit the in-person schedule. So, I mean, and ultimately I went to Costa Rica with a bunch of college students from University Park, and you know, I've had a really unique experience with Penn State, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thanks for your time.